All right, thank you for tuning in, and I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. I recorded it. It was too long. I also have another share that I recorded some weeks ago, and I haven't released it. It's about going back to America and ending up broke in America for those who go back. This is not to tell you not to go back to America, not at all. You go back to America whenever you need to, or back to the UK whenever you need to. As the Most High Yah provides and wills, then you go. But I want to, in that share, I've talked about a number of things that you should be aware of. But in this, I'm going to speak about the issue of reparations and the call for reparations by President Akufo-Addo of Ghana. I want to say, for those of you who may not be familiar with me, if you think that this is, a hating on Ghana video, you know nothing about me. Okay, so please go back and listen to this channel, and if you've been on the other channels over the years, you know that that's the furthest from the truth as possible. I love Ghana. I love Ghanaians. I thank Yah for the time that I have spent there, and hope to continue to enjoy the country. But I'm going to be a person of truth, and I'm going to speak truth. That's who I am. I don't have to become what I already am. I thank Yah. All right. And I'm just going to say straight. Does the African continent, those who participated in the transatlantic slavery, those who participated in the Arab slave trade, do they deserve reparations? As things currently stand, my answer is absolutely no. Not. Nada. Debbie. No. All right. And the reason why I say this is because I think it's very hypocritical of African nations to request reparations of those who, came and got our ancestors, enslaved them, treated them, with cruel treatment, brutal treatment, murdered, raped, even along the way before some of them even arrived to the nations. Many of them died along the way. And my answer is absolutely no. Not as things currently stand, and not until Africa itself has made reparations and restitution, I should say, as best as possible, because they can never restore what was taken. Okay, we can never restore what was. Now, those of us who know who we are as children of Israel, all right, we know that this is a part of what was spoken because of the disobedience of our ancestors. All right, and those of us who have come back, we understand what's going on. All right, I thank y'all that I have more than almost a 20-year history. Next year will be 20 with just Ghana. All right, but currently I'm on the continent. In an African country, other African countries, I say the same thing for them. As much as I really enjoy them, I love them, I just say that we have to be honest. Okay, we have to be honest that those of us who are on the continent, let's just be real, regardless of where you are, be it Ghana, and I'm going to show you some things here too, be it Ghana, be it the Gambia, be it Senegal, Togo, Benin, other than Sierra Leone, that has opened up the door for those who can trace their DNA. And even to me, that's kind of tricky. Back to Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone has made it possible if you can trace your DNA back to Sierra Leone, right? As a descendant of the transatlantic slave trade. I think that's wonderful on their behalf. But I think that it shouldn't even require the DNA, because we are a mixture. All right, Israel, those of us who know who we are, and I'm not going to cut that part out because that's who we are. All right, Judah, Benjamin. All right, Wida, Benin, Wida, Benin. All right, Judah and Benjamin. Those of us who know who we are, all right, we know what's going on. We know why that this is the gathering that's taking place, right? But for those nations who want to claim some restitution and reparations that's due to them by other nations, I agree that they were also robbed, all right, of their goods, of their natural resources, of even some of their own nation people, because we're not all the same, right? But restitution needs to be made, reparations needs to be made, but it needs to start with those African nations. I think it's very hypocritical to demand other nations to repay and to make amends, and they themselves have not. Okay, when you look at this chart right here that I have here, for those who want to come back to the African continent, first of all, Ghana in particular, they used to offer a 5-year visa, a 3-year visa, a 1-year visa. Now it's every 90 days. So if you want to keep your visa active, it's $200 if you want your visa delivered within 72 hours. All right, that's $800 a year that you would have to pay. $800 a year if you want to keep it renewed every 90 days. All right. On top of that, the so-called right of abode. This is from 2016, all right, when the CD used to be 5.25 for $1. Okay, so every dollar you get 5.25 Ghana cedis. Today, it's in the high 8s, making its way up to 9. All right, but even back then, this is how much it would cost you if you wanted to claim the right of abode. 3,000 Ghana cedis. 3,000 Ghana cedis. So you do the math based on 5.25 and you'll see exactly how much that cost back in 2016, and it's even more now. All right, and this is not a one-time fee for the so-called right of abode. It's renewable. You have to actually renew it. So when they stand up and say, that those of the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade will have the right to stay in Ghana under the right of abode, that's inaccurate. It's not correct, because you will have to renew it. If I have a right to abide in this nation as a descendant, first of all, I shouldn't have to pay a visa fee. I shouldn't have to pay a right of abode fee. I should get access to land as any other citizen. If I have to register that land and pay fees, whatever, a reasonable fee, okay, if you say so, that's fine. All right, we're not asking for any special handout or whatever, but I do believe that we should have some benefits, because there was so much that was lost. So it's hypocritical. And you know what? COVID really showed just how much Ghana was not serious about this never again. You hear the president, no disrespect to him, but he says never again. But we keep getting reminded that it never ended. COVID showed this when the policies were put in place for Ghana, for those who could return, and still is in place today. There was nothing for the African diaspora. 2019, they spent the whole year saying, Brafi, come home, come home. And many people heard the call, packed up, and was, ready to go, sold everything, only to be turned away and counted not even as a citizen, not as a resident, not someone who is a descendant who has the right to return. There were no privileges. Even now, when you look at this, you see that there is an outline at their COVID policy. There is an outline of things that are required for those who are residents and those who are nationals of Ghana. So if you happen to be a foreigner who has residency in Ghana, then there are benefits for you. But if you did not get your residency, and let's just be honest, only 126 people have gotten their residency under the current president, where he officially went ahead and granted them that during the year of return. 126 out of thousands of people, not just from America, but from Jamaica, from the UK, from the four corners of the earth. Descendants have been waiting and waiting and waiting, not only under this president, but under Mahama as well. I think Mahama did a couple as well. But if we are honest, our people have been begging various African nations, knocking on the door to let us in, from the Gambia to Sierra Leone, even in Togo, even in Benin, and all these places. Like I said, Sierra Leone is the only place that has done something. But really, even that, you should not have to have your DNA linked to that nation. If you can prove that you are a descendant of the transatlantic slave trade, and I say with at least minimum 3 of your ancestors, grandparents, being descendants of the transatlantic slave trade, if not all 4, then you should be entitled to any benefits under reparations. Okay? One, at least three, if not all four of your grandparents. All right? Or 3.5, and you know what I mean. All right, that's my take on it. Should Africa receive reparations? I do believe that Africa was cheated, all right, of its natural resources. But when it comes to those who were sold, we have to first acknowledge Africa's role in the transatlantic slave trade. We have to acknowledge that. I thank y'all for the chief, the king in the Ashanti region, who did acknowledge it and repented and asked for forgiveness. But there needs to be a whole lot more than him. And it needs to be something that is spoken from the political offices, not just from the various regions and the chiefs and kings in those regions, but it needs to be spoken from the political offices of every African nation. Not only the transatlantic slave trade, but for the Arab slave trade as well. That's my opinion. Thank you for tuning in. You have yours, and have a wonderful day. Shalom.